Okay, well, let's keep going then. Moving into reports. Sherry, do you have the first report?
Sure. So, Carrie,
Yes.
we can hear everything you're saying, and it's being broadcast. That's okay. You probably want to mute. So January is School Board Appreciation Month, but we like to do it on February because January just doesn't work for us because we're coming back from winter break. So just wanted to share my appreciation for the 18 individuals who volunteered to be our board members. We continue to demonstrate their commitment, always being stewards for public education. And in this day and age, being a steward of public education is incredibly important. You value the input of the community, your students and educators, and thoughtfully consider the impact of decisions for now and long into the future. I understand the responsibility, they understand the responsibility they have to create a sustainable, challenging, and creative learning environment for our children. And they appreciate each other and a good laugh. I know that I am lucky to have such a diverse and committed group of bosses that guide my work and support me in what I do. So thank you. We have cupcakes that are wonderful to help celebrate in our appreciation of this board.
It would be rude not.
And tonight, and right now, at this moment, please take a cupcake. They're really, really good. I also wanted to recognize 2 weeks ago, we received the governor's plan to reimagine education in the state of Vermont. I think MVSU is really in a great position now in terms of how do we participate in this dialogue and then really recognize the work that we've been doing ongoing. I will tell you, my phone explodes about every hour on the hour about all the different things that are happening. And my last response was, let's buy some popcorn and watch from the sidelines because it's really getting interesting out there. There are proposals, there are counter proposals. I will be in Montpelier on Friday. So as I learn and see, the latest counter proposal that it came out on Friday is that legislation was written to reduce the number of SUs, SDs to 25 instead of 55. So clearly there are people who are interested in doing things differently and are putting out new ideas every day. So my job and responsibility is to keep you all informed as we get to that point. And really the next few weeks are the most interesting until the carryover. So when we go from the House and Senate committees to the actual full House and Senate. On Friday, I did testify to the House Education Committee around some of the work we've been doing around how do we as a Southeast region support each other. And so that was well received. So I'll continue to be to testify and be available to offer our experiences and things we do well. But as I learn and see if it's credible information, I'll make sure I pass it on to board members in the community. That's my report.
Excellent. Thank you, Sherry. Raph is next. Is he online?
Yeah, he's online.
Great. Raph, what you got?
Hi, everyone. Just a couple of quick updates from our technology work. We have moved forward with purchasing panic buttons for the middle school, high school. And we are going to be working in the next month or two to roll those out and to develop protocols around their usage at the middle school, high school. And this is a process that really involves working with the administrators, but also local emergency responders, and just making sure that all of our protocols are tied together and working. And the other piece that I'll share is that it's that time of year again where we're starting to prepare for the VTCAP assessments. And so we're actively working with all the schools to get their preparations done and get schedules made and begin to get ready for our round of testing, which will begin in March.
Great. Thank you, Raph. Any questions for Raph from the board?
Question again.
Yeah.
Are you finding that things seem to be a little more organized and preparation for that seems to be more streamlined or easier than when was it last year when it was the first year of Cognia? And I know there were some issues with the state providing
Yeah, so this is our third year of testing with Cognia. The first year was definitely rough and rushed. I think it, I'm not sure it's gotten better, but we understand what we need to do better. There's a very limited amount of information, and there are just certain things that we've learned in the past 2 years to kind of make that process a little bit easier. So I think we have a better handle on it. Yeah.
Other questions for Ralph? All right, Shayna, our Director of Student Sports Services.
Hi, good evening. In addition to the things that I shared in my report, I wanted to highlight some internal sharing of the wealth between the MTSS and the special education teams. And we have a newbie group for our new to Vermont special educators or new to the field. And that is led by Amanda Rank. And she meets every other week in a collaborative session to work on case management and how to do paperwork properly, how to reach our students and engage with families in the most effective ways. And she's also available for office hours as well. One other highlight of sharing the wealth internally is ongoing work that we're doing with our students in middle school and high school on transition services, partnering with agencies such as Higher Ability, as well as a very talented special educator, Emily Malone, who's working with both special educators and the agencies and students to make the most of career exploration and job internship and even some job placements in the community.
Thanks, Shayna. Any questions for Shayna? All right, thank you. Next up is our CIA Director, Dr. Settle.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. I have a few thank yous really this evening as a follow-up to the board report I put together. First, I just want to say a hearty thank you to all of our educators who participated in our making sure our winter testing window went really smoothly, and it did. Patty Kelly absolutely did a rock star job making sure we compiled all the data and followed up and make sure everything was entered. And we'll be checking that out over the next few months and getting an update on how our students are doing. I also want to say a thank you to a lot of school districts in Vermont that are coming together and digging into EL curriculum. There are 16 school districts that are implementing EL at a variety of levels, and some curriculum directors have come together to think about how we can provide regional professional learning for our teachers as they implement EL. And that has started with some online training sessions that have so far gone really, really well. I think that's it from me right now. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Jen? All right, great. These are getting off easy. Our student representatives, Aiden, no?
Kick this off. So past few months, the past month felt pretty short. I think partially due because of the Martin Luther King weekend and also the holiday break bled into January a bit, but it was a pretty, despite the kind of short feeling of it, a lot did happen for students over the month, including the change in semester. A lot of students ended their first semester classes and began their second semester classes. And with that is also a very important time for seniors who are applying for colleges or are already accepted into colleges and need to submit their kind of mid-year report there. And so pretty active time. Sports have also been really active and going well. A lot of stellar performances from athletes both in the high school and middle school, and we wish them the best luck as they enter their last stretch in the regular season and enter the playoffs. There have been some concerns raised by a lot of students and teachers alike regarding the heaters in the high school and middle school. Owen and I have both experienced this, and we have heard from other students and teachers about how they continuously blast hot and cold air and make loud and disruptive noises by doing so. And it often leads both students and teachers to be uncomfortable in the classrooms, temperature-wise, whether they're too hot or too cold. But it also it's just a disruption in the class, makes it hard for students to focus, especially in like very test-like settings where focus needs to occur. Teachers were previously able to adjust and turn off these heaters, but they are no longer able to, since the control knobs were removed and the doors accessing the control knobs, from what we have heard and seen, were bolted shut. Teachers have reached out inquiring about this issue, and it seems like a clear response is yet to have been given regarding like why these knobs were removed and what's going on with these heaters. This seems quite sporadic the way they are acting up. And so we would just like to address this issue and come to a solution so that classes can run a little more smoothly and that teachers and students aren't very disruptive. As the last part of mine, which will lead into Owens, we would like to thank you all on the board. This will be our last report as student reps, and we really enjoyed our time here. Owen will also talk about more about who is going to be coming in to take our place. So,
yeah, thanks. I do completely agree with Aiden on the heating. That's definitely a concern of students in the high school, middle school. I'm going to cover a few different things though. It's important to remember that. The new semester began last week. Students are taking new elective courses, so my schedule is largely the same, but I've swapped out pottery for philosophy, which is a much needed change because I'm not a very artistically inclined person. But it's good to have such a diversity of those elective classes. We always talk about our APs, but it's also great that we have so many art courses, things like that. There are other fun things happening this winter. Poetry Out Loud, hosted by the English department, is starting up. I think there's about 30 plus students signed up, which is a record as far as I'm aware. So that's good to see. Sports teams are nearing the end of the regular season, and they're doing pretty well. Some of them, some better than others. We have 167 students in high school, middle school registered for winter sports currently, which is a pretty high level. And it's not as high as our fall and spring registrations, but those are always higher. So I just thought it was good to note how good our participation rates are in those activities. I'd also like to introduce, and one of them is here, Lila, our two nominations for the school board. So Lila Zeitman, class of 2027, and Joaquin Jones-Welker, who had a commitment tonight, unfortunately, they'll be, we'll nominate them and they'll be up for consideration at the March meeting for taking on a similar role to Aiden and myself. A quick thing about them, Joaquin is a cadet with the Pomfret-Tego Fire Department. He volunteers there. He manages the Woodstock Union Student Section athletic social media accounts. And he's a founding member of the debate team and plays lacrosse and soccer. Lila holds leadership roles in Yo Theater. She's the secretary of the QSA and the 2027 student government. And also is in jazz band, the chorus, and I'm really looking forward to these guys taking on this role. I think they're pretty great choices. They went through a rigorous selection process, and I think they represent the best and the broadest of our student population. And again, I want to thank, as Aiden did, the board for the past 4 years for accommodating us. It's been really interesting experience, to say the least, especially for me. I'm pretty interested in government. I'm looking to study it in college. So local government, this has been pretty cool for me. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I've always admired how strictly and how good you guys have been about advocating for students and student voice. And I very much look forward to where Joaquin and Lila will take this role from here. Confirmed. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you both. I guess I'll say, as your sitting board chair for the evening, it's really been a pleasure to work with both of you. You both took the, just to come in, both freshmen, right? When you came in as the board, student board reps, and to occupy those seats at that time, and to immediately have kind of raised the bar, to hear that, you know, these incoming student reps are the best and brightest of the student population. They're only going to be carrying on the tradition that you said. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Carries back.
Great.
And just so you know, all government operates smooth.
Within Vermont.
Wonderful. Okay. Okay,
I actually wanted to end. I wanted to thank you for being on the policy committee.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having
It's
me.
been great. It's been great to have you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So thank you for that opportunity.
thank you. Any other comments or lovely words for our student reps from the board? Okay, wonderful. Let's move into our time scheduled appointments. Sorry, Anna, go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to repeat everything that was said for both Aiden and Owen. Y'all have been spectacular on the board. I wish you both the best, and I will continue carrying on the request that we refer to students as students and not children and kids. So thank you again for that guidance. And we look forward to hearing your success stories moving forward.
Wait, philosophy and pottery. Hang on. If you guys both leave the board, set your sights on high academic achievement, I have a joke I'm going to leave you with. It's somewhere between fine arts and philosophy. Are you ready? How many surrealists does it take to change a light bulb?
How many?
Fish.
I was so good.
It's not even a dad joke. You are recorded, I will just say.
All right, let's get an update on our fun for these school days. Dr. Sinkemani.
Sure, it's a tough act to follow, but thank you for having me. Good evening, everybody. I did provide Raina with a hard copy of a handout that I hope everybody has. There are, hyperlinks within, so a digital version can be made available at any point. But this is just an outline of three areas. Just want to update everybody on today. Just a preliminary. I stress that key findings from the study that we've been a part of so far this school year with UNC. The next section is what we've been up to these past 4 or 5 months in regard to exploring this topic, the cell phone free learning environment, and how we've been interacting with each other and engaging students in the community and the staff in that conversation. And finally, just an update on legislative considerations and what we're up to next. So just really starting from the top, I don't need to go through the data with you, but we had about 144 student participants, approximately a third of our student population. And so far, again, very preliminary data, just really still wet ink. But some of the data here kind of validates our experience and our data that we have been collecting so far this school year, the ebb and flow of the school day. But yeah, about 83% of our students do have a phone that they bring to school every day, and approximately 79% of students have articulated that they use them for a variety of reasons and non-class purposes throughout the day. So things that we suspected, but it's also great to hear directly from the students that participated in the survey. And then I'm just going to skip down. The vast majority of our teachers do believe that the smartphones are interfering with teaching and learning time. And some also cite increases from their experience in student misbehavior due to the use of phones in the learning environment. I also just attached a resource that Dr. Mitch Prinstein of UNC has recently written. He also articulates in the article, which I find really accessible, the fact that he is a father. And while he does this research and does this work all day, every day, he does go home to 2 teenage adolescent students and has these same conversations and these same types of power struggles that some of our students also experience. So in this article, he posits 4 different actions that families and schools can implement to reduce social media risk amongst our adolescents. So I encourage you to take a look at that. So far, we've been up to quite a bit over these past 4 or 5 months. Everything from 3 family, parent, community forums. We've had multiple discussions as a staff meeting. We had about 65 of our students and some students from other schools in the area attend a well-orchestrated and facilitated debate on the topic at Killington this past fall. We have had some data shared earlier this fall, with students through advisory. And just recently, we had 2 students approach me very interested in being involved in the process as we move through the spring. And we decided that it was time to create a student cell phone free learning environment committee. We've had 1 meeting so far. We have another meeting on the books, and a few teachers would also like to join that meeting and help facilitate that process and share some ideas. And finally, the bottom section that you'll see is just an update on the legislation so far. There's a link to the most recent draft that I'm aware of. As Sherry alluded to earlier in the meeting, there's a lot going on with the legislation. So it feels like every week or so there's a different draft. But basically, the same premises in all of them. There's some language that restricts cell phone use during the school day. And just moving forward, just on our financial update, we've been able to raise about $6,000 so far from just local donations, a local grant. And I don't know if you recall or not, but earlier when we were speaking about the UNC study, participants, or whether they provided consent or not, had the choice of donating $5 to this cause or receiving a $5 gift certificate. So we're pleased that $850 was raised just for participants just choosing to consent or not. So moving forward, we are going to continue to have this conversation with students, and we are going to be considering their input. And as we move forward, we'd like to we are continuing to implement the strategies that we have in place from the handbook for the school year. Some students struggle with that. Some staff struggle with that as well. But we are going to revisit this with the student population, as I shared, make some decisions moving forward. We'd like to try some things, and if they work, then great. We can maybe continue with that while we wait for legislation. And if not, I just got off the phone with Yonder earlier today, and they are supportive and ready when we are, if that's the approach that we would like to take when the time is right. So thanks for the time, and I'm sure you have questions, so I'm happy to answer any.
Thanks, Aaron. Question, Adam?
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear on the staff engagement and kind of conversations around enforcing this, a new approach.
Yeah, in general, staff feel pretty burned out about cell phones. They've had these conversations for years with me, with the previous principal. They've had student surveys and student input in the past. And again, I'm not going to speak for all teachers here, but this was a topic of our last staff meeting just last week. And when I shared that I wanted to take a step back, really include student voice, students have reached out to me, and I really want to meet students where they are and have this conversation. Not whether or not we're doing this, but how we're going to do this. Staff in general were reasonably appreciative. Staff want to hear student voice as well, and they're really burned out about cell phones and having to police cell phones in classrooms and so on. They're pretty much done with the conversation and are looking forward to a change so they feel valued as educators in the classroom, specifically where a lot of the challenges are. So yeah, that's the general sentiment. Yeah.
Other question?
So, as a student and also being part of the conference and killing of the leadership summit where this was discussed, I'm just thinking like timeline. This is the cell phone free learning initiative, and the policy has been like going pretty strong over the year. When this all goes well and this does end up being implemented, what is the time frame with that? Would it be like end of this year? Would it be middle of next year? Like what does that look like, if that is?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, as I shared with the students, about 13 or 14 students so far in the student committee, we have work to do. We need to get together. We have a meeting on the books, but if we drag our feet, then we're not going to have time to implement any variations to what already exists. And I really pitched it as this is an opportunity for the student body to lean in, show the administration and teachers what we need to do or not need to do. How strict do we need to be? Legislation's coming. That's very clear. If I'm asked to testify, which I have been asked to consider, I'd really like to speak to process. I'd really like to speak about how we do this at Woodstock High School and middle school, and that we involve student voice, and that we had these conversations and that they were really hard. But I'd really like to get something in place that staff and students can implement with fidelity right around April break, just before, just after. I think that gives us some time to live it a bit, to gather some fresh data, and then make an informed decision if we want to move forward with Yonder or if we want to maintain the course or make some slight shifts. But I suspect that what we may come up with isn't all that different from what's already in the handbook. I suspect the message from both students and teachers will be that everybody needs to lean into this and implement this with fidelity, which means students need to adhere to it and teachers need to follow the expectations as well. It's going to be, I suspect at this point, a real group effort where everybody's in on this together and trying this together. So that we can make informed decisions moving forward. And again, the legislation's coming, and I'd really like to emphasize how important the process is. Both you and I speak with Yonder. They say the process you're doing is amazing. Continue to have these conversations with students and families in your board. All the literature suggests the same thing. So it's really important to me that we have some clarity, Aiden, that later this spring. But at the same time, I really want students to be able to lean in and say, hey, you know, we're ready. We're taking this seriously. We want to do this too. And we need the teachers and adults to help. And that means holding the line and holding everybody accountable as expected.
Awesome. Thank you. Anything else from the board? Great. Thank you, Dr. Sneakamani.
Thank you.
Let's move on to retirements and resignations. We have 3, as you can see printed in the agenda. Is there a motion to accept the notice of departure of Kathleen McLean, our TPBS special educator, Lauren Gagne, West Spanish teacher, and Marcia Davis, our middle school and high school literacy interventionist? Motion, looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Right. Thank you, Josh. Second by Ryan. All first, let's have some discussion.
Yeah,
And I guess let's start with Kathleen. Is Deb?
Well, I can speak to Kathleen.
Okay, sure.
So Kathleen began at our intensive needs program at the middle school and high school. She brought a high level of expertise. She'd been an intensive needs special educator for years, and she's held that chair for a year and a half and is now finishing her time at Prosper Valley. She is a highly qualified special educator, and she's brought some real expertise and experiences to that program. So she'll be missed.
All right. Thank you, Sherry. Anyone else for Kathleen? All right. Let's Lauren, maybe Maggie.
Yeah, Maggie, do you want to start and I can wrap it up?
I'd love to. Senor has been with us for 3 years. She really rebuilt a Spanish program that was significantly reduced during COVID times. And she has a very challenging job of teaching all the students in the school 2 times, some classes 3 times a week. And she is just remarkable at how she builds connections with students and how quickly she transitions from one room to the next around the building. She's on her feet all day, interacting with all the students, and she has brought a love for Spanish to our building that is quite noticeable in the short time that she's been with us. She does a really lovely job integrating the content from other classrooms into the Spanish classroom. She's had chickens visit the school to connect to the Spanish lessons she's teaching, and beyond the Spanish classroom, she also contributes to the school as a Girls on the Run coach. She's helping with our Show Your Stuff talent show this year. She was a translator for the high school football team, state championship football team. I'm sure her role as a translator was essential to that. She is really invested so much of her heart and soul into our school. She's also incredibly flexible. She will substitute for any classroom. She will cover any duty. Last year, she was tapped with very short notice to help out and teach Spanish at Reading Elementary in addition to Woodstock Elementary. And she's going to be greatly missed, but we definitely understand her decision to make a move back to New York for her family reasons.
Yeah, just to build on what Maggie said, she really stepped up. We had a student who really wanted to play football, had no idea about the concept of football, nor did she. And together they figured out what it was to play on a state championship team. She loved it and developed an amazing relationship with this young man. Talk about accessibility, brought a sport and being part of a team. And this gentleman had joined our school only a little over a year ago. So how do we bring students in and make them feel welcome? And she did a remarkable job. A great story about Tom Emery was trying to teach the young man how to tackle. There is no such word in Spanish for tackle. So as Tom Emery would do, comes up to the kid, shoves him to the ground and said, tackle. And that's how, and so they both knew after that what tackle was. But, you know, again, Lauren is not an athlete, never saw football before. And our young man's closest experience was rugby, and he had an amazing time on the team. So Lauren, everything that Maggie said, in terms of fully committing, this was her first public school experience as an educator, and such commitment to Woodstock Elementary School. So we will definitely miss her.
Great. Anyone else for Lauren? All right. Marcia Davis. Maybe Aaron?
Yeah.
Aaron.
Yep, happy to. Marcia Davis is a literacy interventionist. I just had the pleasure of sitting down with her this week to prepare for an observation. And I must say that this educator's level of intentionality in her practice is extremely high. This is an educator who brings in a great deal of detail to the data that she collects, and incredible amount of care to the instruction that she provides. This is somebody who works directly with some of our high school students who really struggle to read. And this is somebody who has the skills to build rapport with those students, really get down to the nitty-gritty of the skills of reading, collect the data to show growth, and is really wonderful, and just always goes out of her way to celebrate that growth with the students. So she's been with us for 3 or 4 years now. Marcia is moving on to other endeavors, but I just will like to just mention the level of intentionality, the data-driven, student-centered educator that is moving on. So thank you for your service, Marcia.
Thank you. All right. All in favor of accepting these resignations, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it unanimously.
Aye.
Thank you each for your service. All right. New hires. Is there a motion to approve the hiring of 2 licensed educators, Kelly Schultz and Phyllis Buick?
So moved.
Thank you, John. Second from Ryan. I don't think we've probably got any discussion on these.
Right. They were late hires, and so they needed to reapply for the positions they're holding. That's why.
All right. All in favor? Yeah.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right. Next is an update on the Rural School Community Alliance. Is Corinne?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Corinne, take it away.
This is essentially an invitation for our board from a group that is organizing advocacy during this time of transition. And we can consider whether we want to join the alliance. The main thrust, the main goal, I think, of the alliance is to advocate for maintaining the strength of the community voice. So the governor has put forward a proposal. Other alternatives are coming down the pike. One aspect of the governor's proposal is to consolidate school districts into 5 regions across the state, which means five boards in the state, with, I think, each with 6 elected board members is the proposal. So, you know, there's a lot in the proposal, and there's a lot of different thoughts about, you know, strengths and weaknesses and other ways to address what are, you know, we recognize are issues right now in Vermont's education, including, you know, the funding issue, and there's issues of sort of inequity and quality across the state. One aspect of it that I think the main pushback that this alliance would, the piece that this would push back on is that idea of reducing down to 5 district boards, because that eliminates or greatly reduces the ability of communities themselves to have a voice in what happens and what changes happen over the next few years in their in their communities, whether their schools will continue on. And again, it's there's recognition that some schools may have to close, et cetera. Things have to change. The administration may have to consolidate. There's lots of different things that can be done to improve the situation. But like I said, my sense is that the main piece that the alliance would be sort of trying to protect is the idea of having, maybe not as many districts as there are right now, but certainly governance more closely aligned with the governance system that we have right now. So instead of, so it's an invitation to join. I think we can vote if we want to join. I don't think there's not much of a downside. We're just sort of aligning ourselves with other districts that are relatively rural across the state. If we feel like we want to protect the voice, that we tend to have, we have as a board. I did bring this for just, I can't read it now, but it's just I found it. It was a letter from the White River Valley SUs to legislators, but sort of outlines some of their positions and some of their concerns about the governor's proposal as it is right now. So for your reading down the line, but I don't know if we can do a vote today about whether, we would want to join. Obviously time is tight. All it does is so I should say invitations have gone out to all school boards and select. So I know I saw on the agenda for the Farmer Select Board meeting on Wednesday that they're looking at this and as a select board.
Yeah, I suppose it's kind of it seems like I don't know what the word is, ceremonial, but I guess if you wanted to make a motion, we can certainly see if you get a second and debate it.
Yeah, I would move for our board, the non-use board, school district board, to join the law school community alliance.
Is there a second?
This is Anna. I'll second.
Okay, Sarah will second. Discussion.
Are there any other sort of organizations or competing voices that like this? I mean, I guess that's the first time I'm hearing this, but
there are other people organizing in different forums to advocate around what legislation actually,
I guess what I'm asking is just one choice of several. I mean, I guess
it's one we've gotten, our board has gotten an invitation to join. I don't.
And would we have a representative on it? Would that be right?
A point person, so it could be the chair, or if she didn't want to, I'd be happy to be a point person. But the chair probably makes sense to be the point person.
Thanks. Yeah, I want to throw my weight behind this. I don't know if I ended up getting the second or not, but is this board for years, I mean, since just prior to Act 46, has continued to honor our small, specifically our elementary schools, and protect them from cuts and find ways to keep them vibrant and active. When I think, and we have discussions at Finance Committee about this, when I think about, where changes from Montpelier may go, We often talk about, the smaller schools, the rural elementary schools getting shut down, and what a dramatic effect that has on the youngest and most vulnerable of the students we have. And so I think this is a really good opportunity for us to join behind something that already has a bunch of school boards and select boards behind it. There's already momentum, moving this forward. And I think that the more community grassroots organizing we can do in this way, I think is going to be the best outcome is what we'll get from it as we move down the road in figuring out what the new school structure is going to look like for Vermont. Thanks.
I guess there's tradition as board chair that you don't participate in these discussions, but I'm just sitting in for Carrie. I think there's a lot that needs to be kind of seen how things will play out. My concern on joining at this kind of early point in the game would be, I guess there's other points of view and lots of ways that this could break, and I don't know that we lose anything by waiting until the new board is formed next month. But I guess those are my thoughts. All right. With that, all in favor of joining the WR? Hold on. Is that what this is?
No, the rural school community.
Sorry, Corinne, can you help me out? The Rural School Community Alliance. Thank you. All in favor.
Before we call a vote, I guess I want to bring up what you raised. What's the concern, if any, of why not wait? For my vote as a party member is join this alliance, knowing little to nothing. I mean, I understand the intent about it, right? But there's a lot of details to kind of play out still. I think the intent is right. I'll vote to abstain because I don't feel like, there's more to be gathered and gained. And it doesn't sound like it's imminent, like either you're in now or you're our enemies, so to speak. I guess I'm asking the question, are there concerns about not joining now and waiting until you have a handful of new board members, participating in the debate?
I'll speak to that, I guess. I think the only thing is that things are happening right now and they're happening really fast. And there's a lot of pressure on legislators to do something. Everybody wants to do something, but and I think that there's particular pressure to go with the plan as laid out. I think that one thing something like this does, if it has strength of membership, is just show that there are communities across the state that really do care about having a voice, after this legislative session is over. And and I think that if we show that now, legislate in the advocacy and in the work that's being done right now, and in the sort of vetting of different, ways to go, the legislators may see, okay, look, communities really do, though they may understand that, some sort of consolidation has to happen, there is a risk of abdicating sort of all your power to, the governor and the AOE and 5 very political, boards, who will then, make a lot of decisions that have a lot of impact on communities. So, I mean, I think joining in now is important, in my view, to show that there's sort of that unity across the state, if enough, it sort of is. The point of sort of gathering the alliance now is that there is this sort of big voice, throughout the state that's unifying and saying, we don't want to go back, we don't want to just sort of trust that you're, that, sort of more top-down decision making is the way to go. So I think that, a few weeks can can make a difference.
Thanks, Corinne. Ryan and then Heather.
Is this something that if we decide to join, we could also take a vote someday to exit as a group if we decided when
If they're like doing
everything
something.
comes out and it doesn't seem what we're into?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, I mean, it's really pretty, fluid in terms of, you know, you've got an invitation to join, you're listed as a member. You know, if we said that we don't want to be a member anymore because what you're advocating is not, we don't necessarily believe that, then if we could even call a special meeting, or, you know, if people felt like it was going down the wrong road, then we could do that.
Heather.
Thank you. First, I want to say I'm sorry I couldn't be present tonight. I'm sure the cupcakes are lovely. Sorry I missed them. I'd like to throw my voice behind Corinne. I want to share with the board that they've named a series of committees. I believe it's 11 committees that are called sprint committees. Sprint, meaning fast. So they have a sprint committee to define policy on governance. They have one to define policy on CTE, one for after school, one for preschool. It's moving fast. So I want to throw my voice behind her and advocate that right now, there's still some listening happening. The opportunity for counter proposals, right, that might be more reasonable are open. And so I do think a few weeks might matter. Thank you.
Other discussion? I think we'll probably need to do this one by roll call vote, given where we are. So let's go ahead and do the hard part first. We'll go with folks online, and I'll just go on the top of the screen. So this would be, give me a yay, nay, or abstain to join the Rural School Community Alliance. Bob Crane.
I'm in favor. Thank you, Heather, for speaking up to the matter.
He's yay. Okay. Let's see, Anna.
Yes, in favor.
Katie.
Yay.
Heather.
Yay.
Ray, is Ray in on this?
I don't think I vote on this.
Yeah. Okay, Ray, we'll skip you. Lydia?
Yay.
That's a yay?
Yep.
Okay, Ernie?
Yay.
Okay, who else do we have? Any other board members online?
No.
Doesn't look like it, right?
Yay.
Josh?
I'm going to abstain.
Corinne? John?
Yay.
Adam?
Yay.
Okay.
Yay.
And
Yay.
all abstain. Okay, looks like the ayes have it. The motion passes.
Okay. So Carrie,
She's off again, so.
okay.
Let her know that she has the new line. She has a new.
That's right.
I want to be the contact person for that.
Okay.
you,
All right,
Corinne.
the next item on the time scheduled appointments is board terms concluding. This will be a little bit meta, but as you can see in the packet, as town meeting day approaches, bringing with it the annual meeting of the district, saying goodbye to 4 board members, myself, Adam, and our student reps, Owen and Aiden. Adam joined the board in March of 2018, with the exception of the newly merged district, bringing Reading. And I joined in March of 2019 when the district had just 1 year under its belt. And Owen and Aiden have been here since the fall of 2021, first as visitors delivering student reports, then as non-voting board members with the seat in Kimball guiding student input on decision making. So off we go.
Well,
You guys.
yeah. Can we have a little discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank
And thoughts from both of you, and obviously Ben in particular, a lot of all the work that you have done on the finance, the new build. But yeah, both voices have been super important, I think. So.
I wanted to say, Ben, thank you for the spreadsheets and for explaining them and for coming out to our towns and everything. And really, it's been great. And Adam, thank you for your work on the policy committee. And you definitely could just take something and distill it down to essence. So I appreciate it.
So I've known Adam since he was, I'm going to jump in on him.
Yeah.
Sure. So many might not know that Adam was actually an employee of the district for a period of time. Amazing school psychologist, and for reasons beyond both of our control, that didn't continue. It was such a pleasure to see you come to the board and again, bring your wisdom. And, you know, I was reminding of your sense of humor because I often don't get to sit next to you except for the last board meeting, and sitting next to Adam in a board meeting is so much more fun because what is mumbled under his breath is just enlightening. Never. But I agree. Just your ability to bring us to the real important points and offer a really insightful and always students first. You're a school psychologist and you really think deeply about what's right for kids. And I truly appreciate that. So you will be missed. And then we've had our Tuesday morning coffees. Watching Ben clean his office is so much fun. Carrie can witness to it, but again, your power and voice to the new build and commitment to that project was so inspiring. Those late nights in some very accepting and approving communities who were really brought us through those really some challenging conversations, but always respectful and focused. And I've really appreciated your role. Finance, I think we've got a well-oiled machine that really allows people to be very involved in those conversations. And you can lay it out, some really tough conversations in ways that are hard to have, but we did it. And I really appreciate all your effort in doing so. All right, Anna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to apologize to both of y'all and Owen and Aiden for not being there. I've got 2 respiratory illnesses stacked on top of one another, so I thought I would keep that to myself this evening. Adam, I really appreciate everything that you've done for Reading. First and foremost, making my entry into the school board very gentle. I've always appreciated your ability to step back and collect your thoughts and then deliver your messages so succinctly and so clearly. And I choose to do a closer job to that when I share my thoughts as well. And then Ben, I told you how much I honored how much work you've done for us, both as finance, but also as a leader and as a community member. So thank you both so much. And I am jealous and wish your recovery from school board goes quickly.
Thanks, Anna.
Can I add Brandon, who was homesick and zoned out, but he doesn't have much of a voice, but he wanted to say that, Adam, you've been an incredible advocate for Reading Elementary School community, and you will be missed. And you do get coffee mugs, even though I told Ben he couldn't have one because I wasn't happy with it. You have the official coffee mug. Yep.
Our coffee mug shelf is in a fire code state, right? Like nightclub, you have to break one to get a new one.
Yeah.
Off we go and bust one up.
I would just want to say 2 words, or I guess more than 2, but man, what a ride it's been for 6 years of some very harried, frankly uncomfortable and emotional school board meetings. All you shared some very kind words about my approach to things, but it certainly didn't feel like that early on as the emotions were quite high. But it feels really good to go out on a note where we have these civilized conversations now, because they weren't always civilized. And I think, I thought it's nice sitting next to you, Owen and Aiden, because having a student representation to the board, I feel like it's even further grounded us of like, this is why we're here. And that we can have civil discourse, that often our students are the ones to remind us first and foremost, right? And I just hope, and I'm sure it will, can continue as our kind of current climate is challenged in many ways, but I think you all have the right tools to make it happen.
I'll piggyback on that, Adam. I remember we were going out into the different community sessions for the new build and the run up, got to Reading and showed up at the door and you welcomed me and you said, geez, there's a flyer on the door here for a new middle school and high school building in Woodstock. If this had been up here 5 years ago, you would have needed a police escort. And that evening turned into like a working group of everybody just brainstorming on how we can improve the presentation. It was one of the early sessions that we did. It was just so collaborative, and it's a testament to how far we've come as a district, not as 7 individual towns and its representatives fighting for crumbs, but as really working together to put the students first and to move this extraordinary school community forward. And I'm going to miss everybody. I wish you all the best of luck as you continue this extraordinary work that we do.
Thank you. So then we have our 2 student reps who I've known one for very long, since he moved here from Florida, and Owen since he chose us as his high school. We've had 4 years of working together, and I think the level of collaboration in terms of us meeting as and students, we took our trip to Ithaca, and these 2 young men presented to a room full of administrators, superintendents from all over, and just gave us much to be proud of in terms of who our students are in Woodstock Union High School. They just bring, again, a level of civility and depth that has really added to the conversation of our board. So I want to thank them, and they get a little bit more than you guys. They have something in their pocket. Your next adventure. Stop! Stop!
I would just like to add, I mean, I think that I have 2 children, and they're in this district, and just observing the 2 of you I remember that after the first meeting that you both came to, and then I learned that you were freshmen. Like, what? No, right? That I hope that our students are continuing kind of the trend that you've set, like what great role modeling. If this is any kind of indication of where the 2 of you are going with your lives and your career.
I'd like to add, I have gone to Aiden a few times on advice for that, because he understands the board and its purpose and how it all functions far better than I did myself as a member. So, no, just to you. Thank you.
All right, anything else? Great, committee updates. Let's see. We are providing updates on work committee and working groups. Finance met. We discussed the changes that Sherry talked about in her report. Don't know if any other important business was covered in finance, but I guess I'll echo what I just said. It's been great chairing the finance committee, and we do have some interest from board members capable of carrying on the work of the finance committee. So hopefully that will turn into we turn it over into good hands in the next formation of the board. Policy.
Yep. So we have our 3rd reading of our student activities, clubs, and athletic policy. And just to review, this has been a long haul. This has been a policy that we've been working on for 2 years. And Corinne put a lot of effort into this for probably close to maybe. And so we've come to this, we're having at this level right now. And just to tell you the essence of it, it's basically about the sponsorship of co-curricular emphasis mostly on sports. And it just puts some guidelines and guardrails on for, how you have a sponsorship, how you can continue it, how you can start it, how you can change it if numbers drop. And it is taking into consideration budgetary matters, and also there's a sort of a foolproof way of monitoring it that's going to be presented to the board every year in terms of how participation, et cetera. So pretty detailed. We've had the opportunity to have the third reading. We have not actually I've not received any feedback. So at this point, I'm actually asking for next time to be adopted at the next meeting. That's what mine asking.
Do we need a motion?
I mean then yes, someone can motion for that.
Okay, great. Is there such a motion? Thank you, Corinne. Adams, got the second. All in favor? Please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. We'll pick that up at our next meeting. Is that it for policy? Ellie, that's it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes. Is Matt or anybody from Buildings and Grounds? Joe, anybody?
I could probably speak to that.
Okay, hey Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, our last meeting was pretty interesting. We covered a few things. We reviewed the last few rooms that have no heat because of control as a result of the project we did with JCI. So we're still dealing with that. There's no heat. And actually, we're going to mediation with JCI over the failed performance on their part of the contract. So that was it. We've got a couple of other issues we got to be dealing with. One is dust cleaning and PCB mitigation in the ductwork. So we're going to be cleaning the ducts and retesting for PCBs. Also, there's another round of lead testing that we're required to do, and that's not going to be funded. That's an unfunded mandate from the state. So we're all looking forward to that. Probably the biggest disappointment was the gym roof options. We've had an engineer looking at the causes of the creaking and groaning and cracks in the masonry, and they came up with a plan to bring the roof of the gym up to current standards as if it was a new school. What would be required? We put it out to bid and got one bidder for $600,000. So that's a non-starter. So what we elected to do instead was to investigate monitoring and putting sensors and measuring strain and find out if snow loads or things like that are really something to be concerned about before we go spending all that money on just throwing a lot more steel up there. So that was a little disappointing, but it's pretty much our only way to proceed at this point. But it's maybe a canary in the coal mine when the discussion comes around to talking about a new school again, that this stuff's going to keep happening, and we're not always going to be in control of how to take care of these things. So that was about it from Building and Grounds. All great news.
Thanks, Bob.
Bob, do you want to respond to Aiden's question, or I don't know, Matt's joined us. Good evening, Matt. Regarding temperature variation in classrooms, is that the result of the Johnson control issues that you alluded to?
Well, our understanding from Joe was that we've got it under control for the most part. There are a few classrooms at Wes that the valves that were not part of the new contract. They're existing valves, old valves, that are just not working. And we've been dealing with the situation by manually opening and closing those valves when we need more heat, less heat, et cetera. Those are going to be replaced this summer. Really, the only place that's really got a problem of heating is the SPED classrooms. I think it's 26. My memory serves me right from years ago. That's got no heat at all. And that again, I don't think is directly related to the contract with JCI, but a problem with a unit heater in that room. But I think for the most part, the classrooms, we're getting control of the entire system. The software is working for the most part. I think the few remaining issues have to do with these valves.
All right, thanks, Bob.
It sounds to me like the student's perception of the situation is different from what Joe is.
Well, it sounds like Bob was talking about being able to get heat to classrooms, not necessarily how hot or how cold. You're wrong.
So my question was going to be, since you guys are in the school way more than the rest of us, what classrooms do you notice it in? Is there a certain wing you notice it in more than another?
I think it's definitely like a lot along the Green Mile. It's like the big hallway right there. It's very prominent. I mean, we have AP Lit together, which is right like in that mile, and it's like we're sitting right next to the heater, so we get a full blast like right to the back of our heads. A loud noise. Heard it in the chemistry classroom, kind of closer towards those bathrooms where the gym is. I think the biggest parts that I hear it is in that area. It's definitely like the big thing with students on this and teachers alike is the disruption that it causes, not only the sporadic on and off, but the noises and the temperature change that creates. It's very much like 1 second will be hot air, then the next will be cold, which is like not quite sure how that works out, but then it'll also be like really loud. So mid lesson, it's like a big blast of heat. And then we were able to control it, and then a few months, like a month or so ago, the knobs were taken out. And so we just wanted some more insight to see if we can kind of figure out how like we can kind of like the heating system can work as it should while also making sure classrooms run smoothly.
Jim, you have the sprinkle in here?
Yeah, the knobs are taken out and or locked up. The reason we can't use the sped room right now is because the teacher shut the heat off in there and the unit froze. And it's 12 weeks to get a new $15,000 unit put in there. And this is happening regularly. The teachers, the room gets hotter, it's too noisy, they shut it off. And this happens. And so we have an electronic control system, and what they need to do is contact Joe or the HVAC guys, and they can, from their laptops, change the temperature in the room.
So they have an EDT system where it's controlled by the computer.
It is, and we've been struggling with it. We've been struggling with it, but we're getting better and better as the system is starting. They're fixing all the problems with it. So we're getting there. As far as the noise, although some of the units, especially in the middle school, are 3 or 4 year old unit vents, we're looking at 15-year-old units with heater fans. And so the heat comes on, the fans kick up, it blows out a lot of hot air. Room comes up to temp, they shut down, room gets cold, and if you're sitting by the heater, it's 10 degrees warmer than it is on the other side of the room. And that's the beauty of unit vent heat.
Yeah, I don't think anyone should believe that even with all the money we've spent so far trying to get a hold of get a control system working on it is going to produce a system that's up to modern heating, ventilating, and air conditioning standards. It's not going to be that way. This is Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid on a 40-year-old system. So until or unless we got a new school, I mean, there are going to be compromises we're going to have to make. That includes the students.
I would agree with what Bob just said.
Do you think could be a way for, I don't know if it is, a small set of classrooms where it's particularly an issue where the teacher, could work with Joe or whatever to work on a schedule of like turning on and off so that it's.
Teachers cannot have that control. But we do have a control, a timing that we set up for each classroom.
Hey, this has devolved into a working group of the Buildings and Grounds Committee, so I'm going to have us move on, if that's all right. Anything else from buildings and grounds?
Nope, that's it. Thank you, Ben.
Okay, great. Let's go to negotiations, hiring, retention. Any updates?
No, we met with, support staff, negotiations continue. We met, this last week, and we're meeting again next week, and those continue.
Okay, great. We did feature the new teacher's contract in the annual report of the board chair. So, great work this year. And any working groups for updates? Doesn't sound like it. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the January 16th special meeting and the January 6th meeting? We'll do those together. So, John, second. Brian, for the second. Any discussion of the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving those two sets of minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Those minutes are approved. Public comments for a second bite at this apple. No bites the first time around.
Ben, Tom Ayers here. I just want to inject, I know it's unusual for the media to speak up during public comment, but I just want to inject, having covered the school board and school issues for the last 4 years for the Standard, I just want to thank you and Adam for the very cordial and collaborative interactions we've had with one another, particularly you, Ben, around helping me to walk through the weeds of Excel spreadsheets over the last couple of years, and to Owen and Aiden. You guys have been rock stars in terms of representing the students in the school system. And Owen, I would say in particular, the op-ed piece you wrote for the Standard this past week on the cell phone issue was spot on, and that's your crowning glory as you leave the board. So thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Other public comment? See none. We're going to get out with our skins. All right.
No, we have 3 executive sections.
Okay. Is there a motion to go into our first executive session for a student?
We're going to do personnel first and then student.
Sorry, personnel.
I have one other question. Will there be any actions taken coming out of these executive sessions?
I don't think so, Tom, but I'll see what the future holds. Are you asking if you should stick around?
More or less, yeah. I work it out with Raina that I stopped recording. So
yeah, I doubt it. I would say that. I mean, I can't make any promises, but
that sounds good. Well, you all have a good night then.
You too, Tom.
Thank you.
Motion to go into executive session and discuss the personnel matter.
Is there a second? John's on second. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed?
Aaron, can you stay available? I'll text you when you can return for the second executive session, please.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Polly, good to see you. Okay, we're back in regular session. Is there a motion to accept the separation agreement negotiated by the administration?
So moved.
Thank you, Adam. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Corinne. All in favor of accepting the negotiated agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Nay.
Nay, okay. So I think I heard 3 nays. We'll have to do this by roll call then. Give me a yay or nay to accept the negotiated separation agreement, Bob Crane.
Yay.
Anna? Anna, yay or nay?
Nay.
Or abstain?
Nay.
Okay, Katie?
Yay.
Heather?
Aye.
Lydia?
Yay.
Ernie? Ernie's.
Aye.
Nice. Matt? Matt, stop. You there?
Aye.
Oh, Ray, you're in on this one.
Aye.
Excellent. Okay, Ryan.
No.
Josh.
Nay.
And Corinne. Was that a yay?
Yeah.
Okay, John?
Yeah.
Okay. Adam's a yay. Lauren?
Aye.
Aye, and yay, Alex, yay.
And Karen carries a yay, and she's signing off.
Okay, the yays, I guess, I'll join just for fun. 14-3, the ayes have it. Motion carries. There you have it. Now, there are two student matters.
Yes.
Okay, do we have a motion
To go into executive session to discuss student matters?
Student matters.
Yes.
Do that. Second from Josh? Okay, great. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, let's, we are out of executive session with no action taken. It's now time for reflection. Do we have any reflection this evening?
I would like to reflect that I will be the first to motion to adjourn on mine, and then you should second this.
Oh, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned in an hour and an hour and 55 minutes. Look at that.
All right. Thank you all.
Stay well,
Everyone but
everyone.
Josh, please take a cupcake.
I counted it.
Good night, you all.